Today I want to give you an idea of what my first week back as a selectman has been. Then I'll move on to how we got to this point in the town office West Street school mess. And please bear with me, I don't have a good place to shoot this video, but this is probably the best way I can figure out how to get information across in the short time we have before town meeting. This is the first of a series of videos in which I'm going to try to explain how we got to this point and why I voted with my colleagues to bring forward yet another proposal for town offices at West Street School. I want to give you an idea what my first week back as selectman was. Then I'll move on to how we got into this point in the town office West Street School mess. So I was elected Monday. I met with the interim town administrator on Tuesday at 9:30. I almost forgot, and then I got sworn in at the town hall annex. I chaired the select board meeting at 5:30. Afterwards, I posted what I thought was news urgent enough to stay up past my bedtime to write. I received a couple positive messages for the information and one angry message for my decision. This Tuesday, I've spent several, and I mean several hours on the phone with the chair of the West Street Building Committee. After school on Wednesday, I spent 45 minutes on the phone with our town's lawyer, another 30 with the chair of the West Street School Building Committee, and I cut the conversation short to take a 15-minute phone call from the Highway Department superintendent. And then I went to a meeting for my union. That took about an hour and a half, and I'm the secretary, so I took minutes. Then on my way home, I talked to the chair of the West Street Building Committee some more. Yesterday, I spent a few more hours talking and texting with the chair of the West Street Building Committee. I began posting information about town offices and the multitude of proposals for West Street, mostly the one selected by the select board that we just added for the town meeting warrant. I'm fielding comments and questions on Facebook in my spare time. This is my second tenure as selectman, and it's begun with like a burning bag of manure dropped on my front doorstep. I'm not looking for pity. I just think you need to know how much work has been going into the issue. I've been on the job for 5 days. A lot of other people have been doing what I've been doing for months. To be clear, nobody is happy about our situation. You're not happy, the building committee is not happy, the select board is not happy. Unfortunately, we all have a problem to solve. Some people like to and will point fingers. It's a lot easier to blame people than it is to figure out the factors that led to decisions. When we can figure out these factors, sometimes we can avoid the situations like the ones we're in now. The fact is our current problems do go beyond individual people. There are a few factors that brought us to where we're at. One's a lack of capacity, another one's a lack of continuity, and another one is inertia. Problem one, the lack of capacity. This is a Granby problem. It's been a Granby problem for years. Granby never has enough money. We never have, and we never will. So we're always trying to do things on the cheap. We also never have enough people who know enough to take the right action at the right time. It takes years to learn what you need to know to be effective on the select board. You need to be ready when the time comes to make decisions. You also need people who can work with you to help you be better than you would otherwise be. We need people who either know what's going on or can get up to speed quickly. It took me 2 to 3 years to get up to speed in my last tenure. We need to do better than that now. I have some ideas to help this happen, but that's for another video. Problem 2, a bad relay race. Part of our lack of capacity is due to a lack of continuity. I left the select board in 2018. In the last 7 years, 7 different people served. The board is constantly turning over. Since the West Street School project was initiated in 2022, Glenn Sexton, Jay Joyce, Steve Shinaki, Rick Bollier, Crystal Dufresne, and Dave Labonte have been on the board. Only Glenn has been there for the duration of the West Street School project. Dave Labonte just finished his first year. I took office 5 days ago. In addition to board turnover, we've had administrative turnover. Over the last couple of years, our town administrator, Chris Martin, has been on leave and then retired. We had an interim town administrator for a few months, then Chris came back for a short time. During the entire process, the only constant we've had is the West Street Building Committee, which has been charged not to look at all the alternatives, but just West Street. Problem 3, inertia. Newton's first law of motion, also called the law of inertia, says that an object at rest remains at rest and an object in motion remains in motion. What's true for objects is true for ideas. If people think it, they keep on thinking it. Things don't change unless something or someone happens. In Granby, inertia means reusing buildings. We've been reusing buildings for years without thinking about it. Temporary fixes have been turned into failed long-term solutions. That's been happening for decades. Take Aldrich Hall. An old farmhouse where the Veterans Memorial is now located was supposed to be demolished in 1970. Instead, we used it well into the 21st century. In the 1970s, Aldrich Hall housed the school administration and school committee. Then the Council on Aging took it over. Finally, we put town offices in there. I was in there at least until 2008 or 2009 when I was a selectman. The building was unhealthy and grossly inappropriate for public use. Inertia kept us in it for 40 years. The idea of West Street School was also a matter of inertia. After the renovation of Granby High School was rejected in 2010, attention shifted to East Meadow, and using West Street as town offices became a common sense idea. In 2012, a preliminary report about alternatives for the town buildings was issued. It was limited in scope, but optimistic about reusing the building for town offices. In 2018, the town completed another addition and renovation to East Meadow School. Another committee was convened to consider West Street School, which was studied in more depth. This time, the recommendation was to demolish it. There was a lot of turnover on the select board. West Street wasn't demolished. It wasn't renovated. Instead, nothing happened. Then in 2022, some interested citizens asked the board to do something with the school. There was no consideration of other alternatives for town offices. The 2018 report was ignored. The current West Street Building Committee was convened. In 2023, town meeting overwhelmingly approved money for the renovation of town offices. The idea for West Street as town offices had started moving again. By the time the committee had solid numbers on renovation, building costs had skyrocketed. It would now take an override, which was voted down at town meeting and at the ballot box on May 19th. So here we are, 7 years after West Street School closed. There is no consensus or any plan on what to do. We have 18 months to get something done, 18 months. On May 20th, my colleagues and I put yet another article about West Street School on a town meeting warrant. This version of renovation, actually one of 6 originally presented to the select board in a long forgotten meeting, was never considered. The entire process has been flawed from the beginning. I'm not going to say it wasn't. As one of my friends on Facebook pointed out, voters deserve to know the options for our town offices. She's right, that should have happened. It didn't. The project started in the direction of West Street, and it kept going in that direction. We have continued to focus on West Street as a place for town offices. How we pay for those town offices and how much we renovate it has changed. The select board started with option A, the most comprehensive, most expensive option for the building. It was expected to come to the amount originally appropriated to town meeting in 2023. It came in way over the anticipated cost. What was voted down at the recent town meeting was an override for option A, not a project at West Street. Certainly some people oppose doing anything at West Street. I'm not saying they don't. I'm saying there's no way to tell whether voters opposed option A altogether or just the override. It's certainly true that they are getting sick of voting over and over on the same project. A vote is not a scientific poll. Town meeting articles and ballot box questions are not designed to measure public opinion. Voters represent the citizens of Granby, but they are not necessarily representative of citizens' opinions. For example, 29 people voted in the last election but did not vote at all on the override. Did they have no opinion? Do they represent a segment of the people who didn't vote at all? We don't know. You simply cannot draw a conclusion about public opinion from a vote. The people who came and voted on May 19th had the desire and the sense of responsibility to vote. We don't know why they voted as they did. An overwhelmingly large percentage of people at town meeting supported option A at 2020, not at 2023's cost, however. An overwhelmingly large percentage of people at town meeting supported option A at 2023's cost. They did not support option A with an override. Does that mean they don't support anything at West Street without an override? We don't know. When town meeting voted down the override, the process should have stopped. The select board should have rescinded the override question for May 19th. However, their intention was that a successful override vote could be brought back to town meeting to appropriate the money for option B or option C. There are still plenty of people who oppose the override completely. However, there were people who also would have supported the override for option B or C. Again, we don't know who those people are, how many of those people would have voted for the override. We just don't know. The override is now off the table. The new select board, which includes me, voted to put the most stripped down version of the West Street renovation on the June 2nd town meeting warrant. The renovation is just enough to get our offices into the kindergarten first grade wing of what was originally West Street School. We're back to the same cost that was voted on in 2023 with a lot less bang for our buck. Before I was elected, before the override vote, I had hoped to spend the summer getting people together to discuss options and bring something forward. Not necessarily West Street, but bring something forward in the fall. Things didn't work out that way. That decision was put upon us on Tuesday. Why put the question on the warrant for town meeting? Because we don't have a lot of options. More importantly, we don't have a lot of time. We have 18 months to get our offices moved out of the town hall annex and into something else. We're in a situation with no happy solutions. On June 2nd, the town meeting will be asked to vote if they want to vote to renovate a single wing of West Street School. People have suggested other options. As I get more information, I'll let you know what they are. They aren't necessarily worse than West Street, but they also have their drawbacks. The thing to keep in mind, we have 18 months to move out of the town hall annex. Stay tuned.